Hello and welcome to The Resourceful Woman. Today I am working in response to a request from someone. When I did a recent video about hemming and mending trousers, somebody asked, can you provide some information about how to hand stitch on jersey fabric, which is like t-shirt material. And I didn't have an immediate answer, so I wanted to go off and kind of research that a little bit. I watched some videos, I read some things online, I looked in some of my sewing books, and I think I do have the answer for this, which I will demonstrate in a moment. So I happen to have in my cupboard a camisole where part of the bottom hem had come undone, and it was just, I was just going to ignore it and just keep wearing it anyway because it wasn't bothering anyone else. This was the perfect opportunity to take out this camisole and practice on it a little bit and teach myself a little bit of something about how to hand stitch on jersey fabric, so I could now share that with you. Let's get started. To start off, I'm going to look at how this original seam was made. If I look on the outside of the seam, I can see 2 running stitches going straight along, and then the reverse side has the stitches going at an angle. And so I am going to try to recreate that with my thread because I want for the fabric to be able to stretch this way. And if I just do a simple running stitch, as soon as this stretches, the thread will break and it won't work very well. So taking a look at this, I've looked at how it's gone all the way along. And then here you can see where the hem has come undone and it's curled up slightly. And so here, my very first task is to get this all pinned down into place along where I'm going to put my stitches and try to make sure that that is nice and even. Probably normally you would try to press this down, press it into place. I'm not going to bother right now. This isn't a really super important garment that nobody is going to see how this is fixed later. So I'm just gonna jump right in with it. Now, the next thing that I want to do is to get my thread ready. Normally, you would use a thread that is the same color as the fabric that you're working with. I am going to use a contrasting color and try to give you some contrast while I go along and do this. So I'm going to get out, oh no, that needle is too big. I need a smaller needle for this. I'm going to get out a nice needle. This is all embroidery thread. Normally you would just use regular machine thread. So I've got a piece of embroidery thread here. Embroidery thread is usually 6 strands, and you take it apart by how thick you want it to be. So whether you're using embroidery thread or machine thread or anything else, spool thread, you probably want to do it at least double strand to make it nice and strong and make sure that it's twisted up properly. You'll make a knot in the end, which I saw somebody else on YouTube do this recently. So I was watching something, you just kind of twist the thread around your finger and then twist it off. And then pull the rest of your thread through. And it makes a nice secure knot. It does give you a whole bunch of stuff at the end. So if you're trying to not have a big old lump of thread after your knot, you maybe want to do your knot slightly differently. Then I'm going to thread my needle. And now let's get started. So I'm going to start at one end. I'm going to pick up where this has come apart and start working it maybe about 1 centimeter in from where the threads start to come apart. And I'm going to put my needle through first on the inside, coming to the outside. And I'm going to want to hold this so that I can keep flipping it over and keep checking my stitches as I go along. I want to make sure I'm doing this correctly. So I do a straight stitch on the front, just like that. Nice little cute stitch. It's you know, maybe 1 millimeter or 2 in length. And then on the back, I want to go diagonally. So I want to go over to the next row here and do it diagonally. So I'm going to do a little diagonal. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so there's your little diagonal. And then on the reverse, do another straight stitch. So what you have on the front will be 2, uh-oh, that looks a little bit crooked. You know what, I'll fix it as I go along. What you should have are like 2 even train tracks running across the front side, and then a whole bunch of diagonal stitches running across the back. So let's try this again. So this time, when I put my needle through at a diagonal, it comes out in front of the stitch. So I'm going to back stitch it this time to make sure that these meet up. And again, I'm going to go out in front on a diagonal and then do a straight back stitch. So with each stitch, I'm switching which row that I'm in so that I am making sure to keep these even and moving along at the same rate. Otherwise, you'll get way out in front with one row and you'll have to go all the way back on the next row. So do a few more of these, get a little bit further along, and then I'll show you what it comes out and looks like. So here you can see how I've been getting along with this. We've got nice couple rows of straight stitches on the front, and then if I turn it over to the back, it might look like a big old mess, but it's actually very tight cross stitching on these little diagonal lines as they go back and forth over each other. And I'm going to run out of this purple thread, so I'll probably switch to another color in a moment. I'm just using up bits of thread that were left loose in my embroidery kit, left over from other projects. And but yeah, I'll just, you know, I don't mind that this is going to be different colors or anything, because this is just, for me, it's an undershirt. I'm going to have it tucked in. You know, even if it shows, it'll look kind of cool. So I'm happy with that. But yeah, the same principle is just, you know, straight stitches on one side, diagonal stitches on the other. I've gotten into a nice little rhythm now. I'm able to, I'm not the world's best hand sewer. I'm really much more comfortable with machine sewing. I do, as you can probably guess by my embroidery kit, I really do enjoy embroidery, cross stitch, all those kinds of things too. But it is a different set of skills. It requires a certain amount of patience, and embroidery is more of a decorative art than a, you know, functional. So normally when I'm being functional, such as right now, I would be machine sewing, but I'd had this request to you know, answer how do you hem a t-shirt, and I needed to look it up a little bit, needed to do my research. I looked at several sources and examples of people who do it. A lot of the people who demonstrate how to do it online do it with a machine, but not everybody has a machine, and that's okay. Sometimes you hand stitch because you want to, and sometimes you hand stitch because you have to. But it is a very good life skill to have, just to be able to fix things. I would have probably just kept wearing this shirt with its undone hem till Kingdom Come, and not ever bothered to fix it. But it was nice to kind of get that request and have to teach myself something and also force myself to fix this. So yeah, I don't even really check the back as much anymore. I'm pretty satisfied that I'm able to do this sort of by feel as I go along. So I'm just trying to keep my stitches on the front fairly straight, although you can see bits where they've fallen a little foul. I've never been one of those people who can like draw in a straight line or anything. I'm a messy person and a messy sewer and a messy everything, and that is just how it is with me. I'm a messy cook, messy gardener, but as long as I'm willing to clean up my messes, who can really complain? So there, we're making some progress, but still got a little nearly halfway there. Carry on. And now here you see the finished product. By doing these stitches straight on one side and cross-stitched on the other side, it allows this material to still remain stretchy so that the stitches do not break when you stretch the material. This is a really, really key difference in how you stitch knit and jersey fabric as opposed to other types of fabric. A simple straight stitch just will not do. It really it needs to have this nice little cross-stitching action in order for this to work. So I hope that this has been helpful. So there you have it. This is the finished product, a nice little colored line. Well, obviously you don't have to have yours be visible, but mine is visible for the purposes of this video. And this is all stitched up. Now, anytime you wish to, say, like cut out the neckline of a t-shirt, or the sleeves or anything, make any other kind of alterations to jersey or knit fabric, now you know the right stitch to use to allow the fabric to still move and stretch in the ways that it is meant to without actually breaking your threads. So I do hope that you found this useful. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment if you have any questions or anything to say. If this didn't seem like a really good method to you and you found something else that's more useful, go ahead and share. I would love to learn about it. This is all kind of a learning process for me, so I hope you did find it useful and that you do use it to get some more life out of your clothing. So thanks very much, and I'll see you next time.